Hello and welcome to Exercise Your Thumbs and this week's new release roundup. This is for games being released on the 14th of February 2010. Before I get going, there is a slight caveat unfortunately to today's video. I've looked up all of the games on the PEGI website, which is the Pan-European Game Information. These are the people who rate games, and with one exception, there is no information on the website at all. The age ratings I have, but unfortunately the actual reasons for those ratings has been missed. So I will tell you what I know about the games and why they might actually have those ratings. I've got the age ratings, but not necessarily the specifics behind why. The first game is a Lego Movie video game. Lego Movie video game. This is the game based on the film that's in cinemas at the moment. This is the only one I managed to get a full PEGI rundown for. It is age rated 7 years and over, and it has been rated for violence. That is the only thing, but it says non-realistic looking violence towards fantasy characters. Violence that is set in a cartoon, slapstick or childlike setting that could be upsetting to very young children. This is available on all platforms, from the new consoles, PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, all the way through to handheld devices such as the 3DS and the PlayStation Vita. The Lego games are phenomenal family films. They're generally very funny. You can play them together. There is an online element sometimes as well. You can play with people across the internet, but they are very good family-friendly child's games. There is another Lego game that I'll be talking about towards the end of the review today. The next game, and probably the most recognisable title, is Final Fantasy XIII Lightning Returns. Final Fantasy XIII has had 3 games. This is the last in the trilogy of games they were going to release in this part. They have similar characters and set in a similar kind of universe. This has been rated 16, and the reason is for realistic violence. It's available on the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360. I'm a massive fan of the Final Fantasy franchise. The 16 rating is because it is a game about combat, and that combat, although it's not necessarily against humans, the graphics are very advanced, very good, so it's very realistic in terms of when you're engaging with enemies. They don't look blocky and cartoony, they look quite realistic. The game has some adult themes in it as well, which makes it less suitable for young children, and also has a very complicated battle system. So that's a 16 rated game, and that's likely to be because of realistic violence. There are no online elements at all, so it's probably just going to be around that. We've also got Tukinden, Age of Demons. Now this is a PlayStation Vita exclusive. It's been rated 12. I have had a look at it online and had a look at some of the gameplay videos for it, and this is probably going to be very much around violence. It's very similar to the Dynasty Warriors franchise, which is kind of a mass battle game where you'll have a single character. I think you can actually have up to 4 people playing cooperatively in this, but you'll be railing against hordes of demons and monsters. The violence is likely to be less realistic than, say, Final Fantasy XIII, but probably of a higher level than you would get in the Lego game. So the 12 there is probably for violence of a realistic nature against cartoon and monster characters. Next up is Inazuma 11-3, Team Ogre Attacks. This is a 3DS title with a 7 rating. And it's quite an unusual game actually. It is a fantasy style football game. You have a football team and you'll be competing with this football team against computer controlled football teams. It's not realistic in any stretch of imagination. There are special moves like fireballs, etc. that are going to be happening. It does actually look an awful lot of fun. But it is a 7, and I would imagine that is again to do with kind of mild cartoon violence that might be involved in it. As always, all of the games I'm talking about today, I will have links to the websites and to information about them so you can check them out for yourself. Then we also have, this is another PlayStation Vita exclusive, Danganronpa. So that's Danganronpa, Trigger Happy Havoc. This is a 16 rated game, I say, just on PlayStation Vita. I know very little about it, and I managed to find some information. Essentially, it's very Hunger Games in as much as I think it's 13 students have been trapped inside a room together, and only murderers can survive. which is quite interesting. The main character decides not to be a murderer and instead attempts to solve murders as they happen. Rather than a full game, this is an interactive graphic novel, if you like. You will play through it mainly through a story, and you will have various puzzles to solve as you go through. But it's more of an interactive game, an interactive comic rather than an actual physical game. But the 16 there is, again, because of the subject matter, I would imagine because of violence and probably potentially some mild swearing as well. Then the final game I'm going to talk to you about today is LEGO Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril. The LEGO Marvel Superheroes game has been out since November, but this is a 3DS version of it. So it's been released on a lot of the platforms, but LEGO Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril is specifically for 3DS. This is a 7 rated game, and I have no real reason to think that it's not got the same caveats to it as the Lego Movie video game that we talked about earlier, in as much as it has non-realistic looking violence towards fantasy characters, violence is set in cartoon, slapstick or childlike settings that could be upsetting to very young children. That's, I would imagine, why that's got the 7 rating. Again, the Marvel superheroes games have been great fun, and they are very family friendly. I've sat down with my son and played it with him, so it's something that you can do together if you are a parent who is also a gamer. Or it's quite a simple game, so if you're new to it and you want to try something for the first time, it's a great kind of entry into computer games. But those are the titles that are being released this week. So we've got the Lego Movie video game at 7, we've got Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns at 16, we've got Chukinden Age of Demons 12, Inazuma 11-3 Team Ogre Attacks is a 7, Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc 16, and Lego Marvel Superheroes Universe in Peril a 7. Next week there are fewer titles, but one of them does have the subtitle Revenge of the Curry God, I believe, so I look forward to talking to you about that one and finding out more about it myself. But for now, thank you very much for listening, and I'll speak to you again. Bye bye.